So we are now streaming.
We are
waiting for
now
the mayor
live,
to rejoin.
people,
Just wait for the mayor to rejoin.
and I'm gonna have to turn on the record.
Just, the mayor's not on yet.
And we are live.
We are live.
We are live on YouTube. Oh, I could have picked that up right from the beginning.
There we go.
Okay, so roll call, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we're all here. So we're okay to proceed. Perfect.
So you guys say,
So we move on to committee, the committee, and the first committee is Economic Development, Développement Économique. We received financial statements from Cano. I believe that's according to the actual agreement that we have. They're audited statements, and I'll pass it on to Stéphane to see if you have any additional information to share with members of council.
I do not have additional information, Madam Mayor. The financial statements are obviously audited financial statements. And as per our contract with Cano, they are to provide the audited financial statements to council once a year. And they incurred a bit of a delay because of COVID, but they did get us the statements, and you've been provided with them. As far as specifics, all the information I have is what's in those statements.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll just ask our member of council that sits on the Cano board to see if she would have any additional comments. T'as-tu des commentaires additionnels, conseillère Lise?
Non, à ce point-ci, je crois que, comme Stéphane disait, c'était ça qui était supposé de faire. C'était retardé un peu. La prochaine rencontre est pour la fin de septembre, début octobre. Puis, à ce point-là, il y aura sûrement des informations qui va être données pour le conseil. Merci.
Okay, merci. Je vais faire un tour de table, just do a quick round table to see if there's any questions or comments. Conseiller Bon?
Non, pas de question, monsieur.
Okay, Councillor Chris?
yeah, I have a few things, but really, I'm just wondering if we can get the president or somebody in at a later date, maybe before next April. You know, the money we gave was sort of to help the other levels of government, I thought, to give funding, to help with funding. And it appears that, you know, they lost Trillium, they've lost quite a bit of money in other grants. And I do have a few questions about the ratio of the entire spend and the administration costs, but like I can't really ask the questions that I want to ask. So maybe we can get somebody in.
Okay, you know what?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I think those questions, Stéphane could easily call the president and have it answer if something is pressing. But like I said, I'm sure they will make a presentation. Can you hear me?
Wait.
Make a presentation before the next budget for sure, because it's already been talked about it. So, I mean, but Stéphane, you're the contact with the president, and I think he will be more than willing to answer any question that Christopher might send to you for answer. Okay?
Conseiller Rowley?
No comment at this time, Madam Mayor.
Conseiller Léo?
Oui, merci, Madame la Maire. Juste une question, puis comme conseillère Lise a dit, quand le président ou la présidente va venir pour faire une présentation au conseil dans le futur, parce que la seule affaire qui me concerne, c'est les salaires et avantages sociaux, ça fait des contrats. Avec tout ça, ça va faire presque 50% du budget. Juste une question. Je sais que Stéphane ne va pas répondre ou conseillère Lise, mais c'est des questions peut-être au futur quand ils vont faire la présentation de demander. Merci.
OK. Conseiller Dan?
Oh, yes. There's just one thing that I would appreciate in the future. And when the audit report comes out, I think that what would be it'd be easier for us to understand is that they have the activity report with it also. So then you'd have both. You'd have the audit and you'd have the activity report. And then we would know what we're paying for. Because evidently we've become one of the main financial backers on this group. And I think the taxpayers want to know because they've been asking me questions as a result of this coming out. And I can't answer it. Like, they've been asking me, well, how come this? How come that? But if we had an activity report at the same time as the audit report came out, then I wouldn't have to answer questions. And basically, activity report could be around, okay, how many concerts did they have? What did they do in the community? Because I know they do other work in the community. Sell their what they're doing. And I think it'd be a lot easier for me as a counselor to answer the questions. And I think there's other counselors that got questions in the same light. So standing alone like this, as Councillor Mallette just said, people are asking, well, how come they're paying 50% salaries and contracts and benefits? It raises questions for no reason. So next time, if we can ask them at the same time that they have their audit report, that they bring in their activity report. So if you could suggest that, Steph, I think it'd be more transparent. People would understand, and people would know, wouldn't have to call me to ask me questions. Thank you.
Conseiller Denis,
Moi, j'ai rien en ce moment. Merci.
conseiller Lise,
Ben, moi, je vais répondre un peu à la question.
you're on mute, Lise.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so when I see mute, that's when I can talk, and when I'm mute for me, that's when I can talk, but I have a little bit difficulty to try to figure out that one yet. Activity report, you get that, I think it's 4 times a year or 3 times a year, Stéphane, and you had the last one for March. So, I mean, you have all the information about that, and 50% of the budget, when you look at it, if we look at any organization, the salary budget is always 70 to 75, 80% of everything, and not always, Councillor Dan, but I saw it. Anyways, not arguing with you tonight. My point is, we had that activity report in our file. They were given to us at the end of March. Correct me again, Stéphane. We had that report. It showed everything, and I'm sure they will be more than happy to answer any questions. So that's my comment for it. So thank you.
Stéphane, we did get the activity report?
Yes, they provided activity reports as required over the last 3 quarters, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. And that was outlined in the agreement that we had approved with Cano.
Correct. And the activity reports are provided, I believe, to council through your information packages. We can recirculate them if council wishes, so that everyone has all the information.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, I mean, we're getting everything that was prescribed with the terms of agreement that was approved by council. And I do know that this year has been not an ordinary year due to COVID, but then we can see with their financial statements, audited reports, that was a prerequisite pertaining to their contract. And we'll probably be receiving an update later in the fall after the September meeting, because council will want to know what future activities will take place with Cano for the subsequent year for 2021. Okay, any further comments or questions? No?
Yes, I do. So perhaps, Madam Mayor, what we can do then, okay, maybe perhaps I didn't see the activity reports, or I didn't recall seeing them. Perhaps the next time, Steph, we can just add it to the audit, and in that way I don't have to answer questions. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Donc là, on procède avec le prochain comité with the next committee, planification planning. I'll pass it on to the chair, Conseiller Denis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It seems to be a problem on Promenade du Lac there, and I recall passing that at the meeting, at the planning meeting, that we would look at the road issue and all other issues with that road and access to the lots. I think we had mentioned that he would have access to the 4 lots at that point. Anyways, I have no further information, so I'll pass it back to you, Madam Mayor. Seems you're ahead of this file. Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, okay, just a quick summary. I completed a agenda form. On the agenda form, there's only room to identify specific information. In the last couple of weeks, the landowner, one of the landowners that we had the issue that was brought forward to planning and to council, has purchased property and has access to one specific lot for future development. However, it was brought to my attention and it did involve various staff resources, and COVID did occur. And since the issue was brought back forefront by one of the landowners who's not being able to access lot number 4 due to obstructions, it was probably conducive that council be provided an update from the last discussions des dernières rencontres que le conseil a eu pour savoir qu'est-ce qu'il y en est, puis c'est quoi les options, puis à quel point qu'on est rendu avec le dossier. So if I may, Mr. Chair, I think it probably would be conducive, plus approprié d'avoir une mise à jour de notre planificatrice, Clerk Melanie, if she can provide us an update on the file.
Okay, Melanie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Mr. Chair. I'm going to probably turn it over to Jay because he's had most of the conversations. As those on planning committee are aware, last year in December, we had indicated that we were going to move forward with looking at the options of dealing with the existing encroachments of both our road and things on our road. Of course, we couldn't begin in this winter time because there was snow all over everything, and the appraiser was obtained, but he couldn't start till this spring. And as everybody knows what happened in the spring, everybody was sent home to their house, including him and his firm. So he is back on track and back working on the file, obtaining the appraisal. But of course, obviously, like every other professional firm, they've got a backlog of work as well, and he's put it at the forefront as best he can. But that's all the information I have to report, and I did communicate this to the landowner who expressed the concerns. But then I believe that Mr. Barbo then had some conversations with him, and so I'll pass it on to Jay.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair, and thanks, Mel. Yeah, so it's a planning file. There was, I guess, some severances that were given to the purchaser of the vacant land on the other side of what we thought was Promenade du Lac Road. And Promenade du Lac Road, as you all know, is not in the right place. And so that creates some difficulties with respect to what the remediation effort. So it turns out we're using a lot of people's private property as a forest road, if you will. It's not a forest road if it's a road allowance, but basically it has force in effect. But in effect, the landowners or the waterfront owners don't have enjoyment of their actual land because our road is on it. And so historically, they've been using the other side of the road because it's just been bushland forever. Now, Melanie, through direction from council, I believe it was council, Melanie, directed you to fix the file and look into it. Now,
That's
the
correct.
planning committee, as I understand it, did provide those severances with the understanding that the individual does have temporary access to do some development until we can work out the land issue, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Melanie?
That is correct. The landowner does have access to all of the property, albeit not
Not ideal.
Not ideal, but he's
Right.
he's not blocked.
So then the mayor was, as she indicated, got contacted and got me involved because there was an inference that the landowner had a solution, and that solution would have been an easy fix. So I asked the landowner to give me his information, and in fact, the solution isn't an easy fix, or isn't a fix that we are prepared to do operationally unless directed to do so, but it involves displacing one of the landowners significantly before everybody else, and basically kicking him off our road allowance. Then basically, then the proponent would have unfettered access, and I grant you that. Position that I have taken, and I hope that it was council's last year, is that I believe that the general understanding is, no, we're going to get this fixed. We're not going to exacerbate the problem or make the problem worse, but we're not going to be forcing people off yet until we can properly get the solution that council wants to do. And so I'm not going to basically advantage one landowner at the expense of another landowner at that time. If the person was proposing something much easier, then obviously I would have entertained it, and that's why I would have had a discussion. But I don't see anything in the carriage of this file from Melanie, and really it wasn't even a bylaw thing, other than it could have been like get off my land and a peacekeeping thing. But there really isn't any violations here per se. It's our land, it's our road allowance, person's on our road allowance with permission until we can fix it. And so we're moving forward, and what I've indicated, I guess it got a lot of interest today. What I've indicated to folks is that's the position that we are taking, and that unless council changes their position from last December, then that's there really isn't anything other than we're going to expedite this as quickly as possible. And I could inform council, and Melanie will correct me if I'm wrong, that in our opinion, there's no developmental delay issues as a result of this per se, because there is access to those properties either from the cul-de-sac on the end where he actually has a house, or through an area that is in contact around lot 4. In fact, it's right at the corner of lot 4. The individual would have temporary access to that site. So there was no information I was provided that I could provide any assistance which wouldn't have disadvantaged anybody who's been along that lake. I don't know if there's anything else I can add, Melanie. Is that a fair, accurate statement?
I think so. I don't think you missed anything.
All right. You're on
Denis,
mute.
on mute.
Conseil Denis, we can't hear you.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, so I remember at the planning that the gentleman had access to lot 4, so I'm not sure what happened since then that he lost that access. Did somebody block the access at lot 4, or I have no information? Maybe
Nothing
Madame.
has changed since last year.
So I can't understand the issue then. So what's the issues? Is he's saying that he doesn't have access to his lots? Is that what he's saying? Melanie?
That is the allegation. Given that nothing has changed on the ground whatsoever. So I don't know what the understanding of the individual is that's changed from last year. We wouldn't have approved the draft subdivision would that he was in any way landlocked. He has access from the municipal road allowance, although as Mr. Barbo indicated, it's not ideal access. He has to go kind of on a skew as opposed to going straight in on a 45-degree angle, or on a 90. He has to kind of go in on a 45, but it's not locked.
Conseil Denis, did you do a round table?
Yes, I will. I think I lost part of Melanie for a while there, but okay, we'll start with Yvonne. Councillor Yvonne, do you have anything to add? Where are you? Oh, okay. We can't hear them, right?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Now, with respect to the road, unfortunately, it's a situation that was handed to us through amalgamation, and it's 100 years old problem that we are now facing. And I have to agree with Jay when he, you know, it's something that we have to fix, and it has to be accommodate everyone there. So the only way we can fix that is put the road in the right place. And now the reason why I'm making an issue here is because, as you know, the road, Promenade du Lac, was due to be resurfaced with granulate gravel. And with the length of the road, I assume that cost can go from between $80,000 to $100,000, if not more. Now, I don't think we should, Jay is doing this, so it's probably higher. So I don't think we should be putting that much money on a road that's in the wrong place. Now, before we do, the year before we do the gravel installation, we do the ditches and we do brushing. Good dog. We do brushing. Unfortunately, this year, the brushing and the ditching had to stop because the people of the land, which owns the land on both sides of the road that's in the wrong place, objected to us cutting brush and digging a ditch. So we had to stop in the middle of the work and left because we had signs put into our machinery, don't touch my land, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, with that being said, I think we have to deal with the problem because it is always going to be a problem. So I think seriously, we should have this looked at and carefully come up with a situation to alleviate the problem so that we can go on in life, because I would not want to spend over $100,000 on a road that is in the wrong place. I'd sooner want to spend $200,000 and putting in the road in the right place. So this is all I have to say, Mr. Chair, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Yvon. Next is Councillor Chris. Do you have anything to add?
No, just the fact that I remember it well from planning. It's an old problem. It's it's going to cost us quite a bit of money, and we've not budgeted for it yet, and it's not going to get fixed overnight. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Councillor Chris. Councillor Rowley.
You're on mute, Councillor Rowley.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Yvon that we should not be spending money if the road is at the wrong place. But if we didn't budget for it, I guess it'll be an item for next year if it cuts the budget. So yes, let's hold back on this. And I know that staff is on it. They said that they were, so I don't have any problem with staff working on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rowley. Next is Councillor Leo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, let Jay and Melanie, they will probably find a solution for that road, and we'll be able to fix the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Leo. Next is Councillor Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the issue is in the right hands. It's with staff. I think the explanation that you provided, both Melanie and Jay, is dead on. We had discussed this at length at planning, and in December we had made a decision that we would let Melanie do her job and work through the various problems that we have. I don't think there's any new information presented, so let's let them do their job, and it'll work it through. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dan. Councillor Lees. Councillor Lees.
On peut pas t'entendre, Lise.
Et je comprends, là, tu vois. OK, j'ai dit que j'avais une couple de questions. Puis, une chose que je comprends pas, one thing that I don't understand why, because I did receive some the email that was sent by resident. I don't think at no point of time we said that we were not involved the resident. Obviously, the road not belong to them, but I mean, they all use it. They were, I think they were a nice group, a good group. At the last meeting, we had a council explaining maybe the potential solution and giving directive to Mel. I really don't understand why was that, because right now it's a simple update. We were asking. I did spoke with the person. Somebody had their mic open because there's a lot of noise, and so I'm trying to look around. And Rolly, your mic is open. Melanie, it's okay. So we should be okay after. I did spoke with the person. I think the issue is, yes, he have an entrance, but he wants to build a house for his parent, and that's the lot that he's got to build. And to go on the other side, it's a lot more work. So, so I guess maybe that's part of the dilemma. I mean, I understand that with COVID, it slowed down everything, but I mean, I think it's been on council when I was there 12 years ago to more than that. It's been, and always there was no need, I guess, and then the lot was sold and blah, blah, blah. I think we need to have that as a priority, because everybody on that street have their say. They should have their say, but I mean, they need to be able to use their own land or do something for them. So I don't know. I'm not the road builder. I trust that Melanie's on top of it to ask whatever's doing the job to provide us with something very soon. I mean, we're talking about delaying a person that bought lot to develop and cannot do really, can go at the back, but I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that hopefully we'll have answer. And I like I said, my mom dilemma was floored when I saw all those emails, because I did not understand. I mean, it was simply an update. And when there's project on the table that has been there, because the last meeting we had on that was December, I think 2019, correct me if I'm wrong. And we did not have an update since then. I think it was just the right thing to do when we had somebody that's asking about it. So we got it tonight. Obviously, it's almost the same information, but now the good news is they back to work. So we may be expecting something to happen sooner than later, because somebody wants to build a house. And I mean, so when he owned a lot, and yes, I understand we own the whatever you call it, but I mean, is that the only property in West Nipissing that the municipality had a right of way and people can build something to go on their land? I don't think so. So, and we have to look at the one that had put building there because they had no place. And obviously they would, if they would have the lot that they paid for. Not their fault, not the municipality's fault, but it's something that needs to be solved by this council. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lees. Councillor or Mayor Joanne is next.
Thank you, Conseiller Denis. No, I appreciate the update, but I do have a few questions. If the individual in question wanted to build in the near future, and I know we're getting into the winter, but would this issue delay new construction? Because we all know new construction, the type of equipment that would be required to access the property.
I don't know, Your Worship, because I don't know exactly the location. I believe what he's talking about is building on what he calls the retained lands, which is the lands between the subdivision lots and his existing house. That property is accessible from the cul-de-sac and his driveway of his existing house. So I can't see why there would be any issue with getting equipment or materials in.
Okay, because my understanding, what the information I've been told, it would be new build for lot 4, based on the understanding that the individual had access that was defined for lot 4. So, but I know we're already in September. I'm not debating the issue further, because new build is probably not going to happen this winter months, but still there could be some prep involved. Do we allow residents on that road, knowing the current issue, to continue to put up either temporary or permanent structure on the road allowance, because it creates more problems in the long run until we can find an option to resolve all this issue.
So I'll answer that. Typically, we don't. I understand. I only inherited the file. I understand. I believe council or the planning committee indicated that there would be no new expansion. The individual property owner had historically stored temporary stuff to store. I think it's his boat or like that, and that's all he's done. So in our opinion, there isn't any enhancement of any structures on the opposite side. The individual that I spoke to is well aware, as with obviously all the emails, all the residents, they're well aware of the situation and the fact that the situation that we exist in now is temporary. And in our opinion, there isn't any nuisance or anything happening to anybody. So this part was investigated by our bylaw people, although it's not a bylaw infraction, it could be a trespass infraction. But I didn't, we all concurred that there were no egregious violations at all.
Okay, and I guess two further questions or comments, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so do all the residents on Avenue du Lac, have they all been duly informed that the municipality will not allow any further structures to be put up on the road allowance?
Can I answer that?
City.
There was a letter sent last year. Many of them were very concerned and upset by that correspondence because they indicated that what are they supposed to do with their stuff, given that our road is on their property. As Jay had indicated earlier, we're walking a fine line between advantaging and disadvantaging one over the other. Because at the time we sent the letter, some people brought their boats home and said, hey, where am I going to put my boat? Where am I going to put my camper? I always put it there. So it is a kind of a tricky situation. So we haven't, go ahead, Jay.
Well, my interpretation of that is, and I'm hoping it's common sense, is that if you look historically, and Councillor, and Councillor Duhaime spoke, and I think Councillor Lusinic has said, this has been going on and has been a historical issue with Springer Township. And those folks have had historical access. So if they've been storing their boat, even though it wasn't there at the time of the letter, but historically they had put their boat, but they're not adding their boat, their ATV, building a sauna and a shed and all of that, which is an exaggeration, but is what the spirit of what I think they were, the planning board was saying, or the planning committee is, listen, let's not expand anything and exacerbate the problem while we can figure this out. In our opinion, up and down that street, and I've been there, I investigated it myself. There isn't any enhancements per se. And the individual, without getting into a neighbor issue, the individual did not in any of his correspondence with me express any concerns other than the one landowner who, in my opinion, and I looked at historical patterns in the past, has not violated anything or gone any further and has no intention of doing so. And so let's just, as per what council is saying this now, let's do what we can to expedite this thing so that there's no tension in that area and we can solve it to everybody's satisfaction. And that's what we're trying to do. Melanie is on the appraisers to really move fast, and then we'll come back to council as soon as we have a solution with it. Now, with respect to a building permit, if the individual or the proponent wants to build, I don't see anything with respect to having set plans or anything like that. I believe if the person wants to bring forward set plans as per the building permit process, then we will see if there's any glitches that we run through. But right now, there isn't even anything on the table other than a verbal saying, hey, I want to build there. So as soon as the person wants to do that, we will also work with them as we do with everybody else and be pro-development as much as we can.
Okay, so my final comment, and I think you've shared some info, Jay, is that once we get the assessment value, it's gonna come back to council. Is it realistic to say that we're gonna get this information probably within the next 2 months?
Wow, that is such a, because the way the assessment thing is, Melanie could speak more to it. What I could tell you is based on that 2-month request, Melanie is going to share that with the appraiser and saying, our council wishes to have this done yesterday. We understand COVID has delayed you, but this should have been a May file, not a October file. So let's move on it. And that's all I could tell you. And hopefully we'll try and meet that deadline. I can
Okay.
assure you that we're going to try and meet and expedite this as quick as possible, because it isn't often that I get involved in border or neighbor issues, and so I understand there are tensions, and we want to resolve them.
Okay, so my only expectation is that if we don't have any further info within 2 months, to at least bring it back to council and let us know.
Okay, Madam Mayor, thank you, and thank you, Jay. I think you cleared some things up there, and I figure if the staff needs 2 months, I think that's reasonable, given the circumstances of COVID for the last 6 months. So let's can we just put it back on the agenda for 2 months from now, and let the clerk and the CAO do their jobs, I guess. Hopefully they'll advance this file. And in 2 months, we should have some progress.
I have no
Is
problem.
that agreeable?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I have no problem with that. The issue really is like a technical one with the appraiser. So if there's anything that we hear different than what is being proposed by yourself, we'll bring that back and adjust expectations. Hopefully, maybe even sooner. Who knows?
Thank you, Mr. Barbeau. And like you say, hopefully if he wants to build, well, if he comes in with a permit, that would move things a little more, I guess. All right, so I send it back to the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We move on to the next committee, les mesures d'urgence et sécurité publique, emergency measures and public safety. And I'll pass it on to the chair, Conseiller Chris.
Madam, it's 10 after 8. Do you mind if we, or could I motion for a 5 or 10 minute bathroom break?
Okay, just a show of hand, do you all agree for a 10-minute break? Okay, so sorry, Sean, we're going to be reconvening in 10 minutes.
Okay, can we, Madam Mayor, I think Melanie has something. There was a technical issue last week when we did a break, and Melanie, I think what you're indicating is that keep the meeting going, just put yourselves on mute, and then so that we don't lose the meeting.
That's right. Melanie, we can't hear you.
I had already spoken to most of you before the meeting as to how that was going to work. So just put your computer, you can close your video or close your mute, but it's going to continue on. So
Okay, perfect.
Hi, Councillor Leo.
Hi, Jay. How are you?
Good. Are you settling into your new place?
Yeah, you'll have to drop in.
Hey?
You'll have to drop in.
Well, that's COVID unfriendly.
Guys, don't forget we're streaming.
Okay. I'm still-
Okay, according to my watch, I have 8:22. We had 10 minutes. It was to be up at 8:20. So we're ready to proceed. I'm just waiting for Sean to come back on. And what I'm gonna do is the next committee, Travaux Publics, Public Works, and I'll pass it on to the chair, Conseiller Yvon.
Thank you, Madame Mayoress. I think we were under emergency measures and public
Yeah.
safety minutes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, that one was so, one item. I'll pass it back to you, Councillor Chris. My apologies.
No problem. So here we go for the most exciting and hopefully the simplest item of the night. And that is dog sled signs on Deer Lake area. And I believe Sean has a short report, and I will hand it to Sean.
We haven't seen councillors through the week.
Sean, we can't hear you. Sean?
Yeah.
Can you put your sound on? No, we still can't hear you.
You're good, Sean. Oh,
No, not yet.
You have volume at the bottom?
Are you muted on your computer, Sean?
When you clicked your link to access the meeting, Sean, did you click with computer audio?
No, still not. Okay, so I tell you what, why Sean is trying to figure out what's going on, I'll just read his short report. So this is concerning the dog sled signs around the Deer Lake area, and the manager of Public Works has consulted with Ontario Good Roads Association, the MTO. No one has any concerns as they're not to be installed on the MTO row. The signs will cost $125 per sign, and Public Staff Works will install. If I'm not mistaken, I did speak to Rolly, and I think we're talking around 4 signs. Did we want to do a round table? Do people have things to say? Yes, okay. So I see people do, so I'll just do a round table. So Councillor Duhaime.
thank you, Mr. Fisher. The situation, I think Sean in his report will clearly indicate that what you've actually said, and I do agree that our staff is able to erect these signs when needed, and I certainly have no problem with it. Thank you.
Councillor Mallette. Oh, no, sorry, Councillor Larrabee.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'm really happy to see this, that it's doable. It's a safety issue for the resident of Kipling and the ones using that road. It's a perfect loop. And I definitely support having signs put at all intersections, warning traffic that there is dog sledding activity in the area. So I'm in favor. Thank you.
Councillor Millet.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I agree. I think it's a total of 4 signs, so it's $500 for a safety issue. I am all in agreement. Thank you.
Councillor Rovita.
Yes, I agree with what's being proposed. In fact, what I think it's going to do is it'll permit these people to do it in total security. And I think it's important that we be all inclusive and that we be a community where we're open up to all kinds of different avenues. So I support it 100%. Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
And I don't understand. I was using Zoom today with the EXP.
Oh, I think now we can hear Sean. Sean, we can hear you now.
Okay, I got it. All right, thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Madam Mayor, I believe it's your turn.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Chris. No, I don't have a problem, but I just needed clarification. I was trying to figure out from Sean's report, MTO, and then it had ROW. It may sound a stupid question, but what does ROW mean?
Right of way.
Oh,
So as long as we don't, our signage don't encroach on an MTO right of way, then they did not see any issues.
okay. And when there was a reference, that it's a perfect loop, are we promoting the fact that they practice on our roads? Because from my experience, dog sledding in the past, when owners wanted to practice, they would go out in the field, so it wouldn't be an issue with motorists or other type of recreational equipment on the road. So are we still going to be promoting the fact that they can use the road, but the road is not their main conducive place to conduct practice? Is that what we're saying?
I think I'm best to hand that one over to Councillor Larrabee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, it's just like doing snowmobile alongside of the road. Any sport can be used on the road as long as it's done safe. The roadway is not only for cars. You can use it, like I said, snowmobile. Now you have ATVs, 4-wheelers, and dog sledding is a good add to it. It's a good exercise. It's we have people that are in competition representing Ontario, as a matter of fact, using that area. The only concern they have is with the traffic, asking traffic to slow down and just be cautious of dog sledding. They've been doing it before. They've been doing it for years. That would be an add-on for safety.
Okay, I concur with the safety issue. It really doesn't answer my question though, because I guess it's the type of sport that normally when mushers do really practice, they go out in the field with their dogs, and some of them may have, quite a number of dogs with their sleds. I just want to make sure that it's conducive, mostly safe for the people that are using the road and traveling the road with motorized vehicles, but I have no objection.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I just might add, and I might have missed it while I was logged off, could I ask Councillor Larrabee the locations where the signs, just so that we're on the same page? I had Kipling East, Kipling West, Deer Lake, and Pine Poultry.
That is correct. That is correct. Those are the intersections.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Councillor D. Seneca.
Yes, I have no issue with that as long as the safety aspect is there, and I got no issue at all. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Lee Seneca.
Since I'm the last one, I'm tempted to go against it because that would go by what we do usually, but I am in agreement also. I think it's a great initiative. I think it's going to be great for our resident, and for $500, man, cannot go wrong with that one. So yeah, I'm in complete agreement with it. Thank you.
Okay, so that was probably very simple, and I'll be looking forward to seeing these signs. And I hand this back to Madam Mayor for the next section. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Chris, and now we'll proceed and move on to Public Works, Travaux Publics, and I'll pass it on to the Chair, Conseiller Yvon.
Merci, Madame Mairesse, thank you. We have a lengthy agenda here. The first one on the list is Cornell Road, concerns with the speed limit. And if, Sean, if you want to briefly go through what you've done through the, in order to rectify this situation, greatly appreciated. And Sean, I'll give it to you.
Okay, through you, Mr. Chair. So the 25-kilometer-an-hour speed limit sign is clearly posted at the boundary where, and it's conducive to our bylaw. So the sign is in the right location, and actually was, we went to a bigger sign. The additional warning signs, I think, were mentioned. So I did drive the area, and there's, I think, 5 hydro poles that I counted between where the sign is posted and the first kind of marina, and where the trailer park area is, and every post has a warning sign on it. So I don't think that warning signs are the way to go. We did install a vehicle data logger, so we will have data. We've had it up for approximately 2 or 3 weeks now. So within a week or two, we can go collect the data, and that'll give us an indication on actual vehicle speed. It'll give us a vehicle count. So we'll actually have data to bring back to council. So in a sense, I would strongly encourage enforcement at this point, because the signage is adequate, in my opinion. Another question that came up was to move the road behind the properties, I believe. Unfortunately, I don't have much information. I did have a conversation with Melanie, and I mean, Melanie can chime in here, but I think this, well, I'll pass it over maybe to Melanie to kind of speak on that, on moving the road.
Thanks, Sean. Through you, Mr. Chair. It's my understanding, just from information that I have, that this has come up a couple of times. I understand it came up once during the Springer Township days, and then again back in around 2003. It's my understanding that both times that it's come up, while everybody agrees that it's a good thing, it's safe, it would improve the safety, it would do, but it comes with a substantial cost, and all of the residents would be required to move their driveways. And it's my understanding that the last initiative went off the rails because there was a cost to all residents to move their driveways significantly, and some said, well, no, I don't want to do that. And it was one of those situations where if everybody didn't agree, it really couldn't go forward. So it was even surveyed and all laid out. I have a plan here in my office that was done at the time. I believe there was a local resident who was championing it, but like all these projects, everybody has to, in the mix has to agree. So that was the history that I understand. So.
Ask them the questions. Thank you, Melanie and Sean, on the report. Sean, there was just one other item on the D5, the Sturgeon River speed limit signs are ready to be installed, and you're waiting on a contractor to quote the install. Where are we at with this?
Okay, so In speaking with you, Mr. Chair, I did look at the option of having our fire department with their boat to install the signs, and the chief did approve that his staff was going to install the signs. So we dropped off the signs this afternoon to the fire department, and I'm sure the chief will get that done as soon as he can.
Thank you, Sean. That's great news. Now I'm going to go around and ask people if they have any questions with respect to this issue of Canal Road. And we'll start with Councillor Chris Fisher. Do you have a question, Chris?
No, I'm good. I did have a comment about, I did travel the river, the sign in bad shape. And the one comment I have is it seems very strange, the placement of those signs, because you can go from the marina all the way down full speed, and then suddenly you got to slow down, and then you're still on the river and you can open right up. And I'm told this is a sort of just a quirk of history from amalgamation, but I don't know, one day we might want to look at the way we regulate the river, because that just seems on again, off again, and I'm not sure it actually makes sense. So just a comment.
Thank you, Chris. And now we'll move to Rolly. Larrabee, do you have a comment, Rolly?
Yes, I do have a comment. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do agree with Chris. We would need to bring this up as far as the speed on the river, because there are safety factors. People swimming and speedboats or sea-doos, they're really, I think there should be designated areas for slowing down anyways, where people are enjoying the day for the swim. So that's it. Thank you.
Councillor Rolly. And then I'll now move to Councillor Leo Manette.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Yvon. Yes, thank you, Sean, for when I talked to you after the complaint from the marina when installing the sign. Is that the sign that says your speed is so much? That's the one that is. You're going, well, of course, you're doing too fast. But yeah, thank you so much. And I also agree with the signs on the river itself. I mean, this has been ongoing for years and years and years. But before it was Spring Township, part of it was Spring Township. Well, I guess all of it was Spring Township back then. And they're the ones I think have installed the signs for the speed limit for boats. But yes, I agree with Councillor Yvon. Yeah, we have to do something, and it's a good move. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leo. And now we'll go to Councillor Dan Revita.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for looking into the point of the road going behind the resorts. I've had some discussions with some people that live there, and you are right. They do say that access by the back is very hard. So thank you for looking at that. In regards to the speed on the river, it dates back to when in the years, and just give you history on that, my grandmother owned the Sunbeam Hotel, and she is one of the ones that asked for it because it was causing havoc with her boats and her docks. And that's why it starts just before the Sunbeam, and then it finishes at Starlight, because everybody got on the wagon at the time. But I think we have to look at it because it's not just speed, it's the wake. Anybody that has a big boat will know that your wake is much higher and bigger than when you're going slow than when you're going fast. So what we have to be looking at probably is the wake control. So thank you for the work you've done, Sean and Mel.
Thank you, Councillor Dan. And we'll now go to Councillor Denis Senecal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two comments. One is that I wish we could pursue that road behind or changing of the road. I think we should maybe ask the residents if they would be willing to cooperate. I think that would be a solution forever. But it's been a while since it's been brought up, so maybe they have a change of heart. I don't know. So I would like to see more information on that. And as for the wake on the river, well, I think it's well documented that right now there's no issues because past the marina There's not very many cottages, and I still don't agree that the slower you go, the less weight you make. That's been debatable forever. I think it would be better for the docks to go full speed because these boats don't make any weight when they're at full speed. They hardly touch the water. But that's an issue we can discuss all night, I guess, because when you go into a big boat and you slow down, you can see the weight. It's very, very, I think it's worse, but that's my opinion. Anyways, the signs as you go through the river, it's a challenge because you have to slow down to 9 miles per hour and it takes forever to cross. I don't think that's conducive to tourists. And anyways, I'm against that. I think we should leave it there. So that's my opinion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Senecal. Now move to Councillor Lee Senecal. Deputant Lee's.
Okay, I do have a question for Mel because I remember the conversation like a long time ago, but where would that road go? What is the new road? Where is it? Like you got canal, so I'm very visual, so.
Okay, through you,
Parallel, okay, parallel to
Mr.
what?
where it would kind of veer would be at the old, I suppose pointing, no one can actually see that. At the
saw you.
sunbeam,
Okay.
at the old sunbeam is
Okay.
where it would veer and go behind all of those properties. So, you know, it would, I have a plan in my office, you could see it, or I can email it to you so you can see, but it would basically
No, I think,
move
okay.
the road about 200 feet back and run exactly parallel to where it is, but about 200 feet back
So
from
what
the edge
you're-
of the water.
So what you're saying is that road, canal road would not be used after that, if that road would be
No,
built?
because right now the existing canal road cuts right through everybody's property. So everybody has a wee bit of property on the riverside and the larger portion of their property on the water side or on the backside. So it would move the road behind their properties, so they'd all have to make new driveways off the road, and then nobody would go through that front section anymore.
Okay, well, I would like also to get more information because that would be solving the problem, but I can see how expensive it could get. But I mean, yeah, okay, thank you very much.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chair,
Mr.
Mr. Chair, Councillor Leo, can I make a comment, please?
Yes, Leo, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you're right, Councillor Lees. And the thing is, they would gain waterfront property if they move the road 200 feet. They would have advantage to that extra 200 feet to them, to the owner of the properties. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Leo. And I guess it's up to me now. And I do agree with you, Leo, they would absolutely gain, one story, Madame Perez.
Okay, no problem.
I'm sorry.
Two issues. Thank you, Sean, for the update. Pertaining to the Sturgeon River speed, hearing the comments of all elected members, should we not hold off instead of getting the signs done and put up at this time, like we're already in mid-September, and have the opportunity to study the issue a little bit further before we do put up sign for 9 kilometers? I mean, instead of spending that money, that's only my opinion. And the other issue pertaining to the actual speed, I think it's great that we see one of those indicators that's going to provide us with a log of the speed. I do know the lodge operator that had brought up the issue, RB Riverside Properties and Marina, at 860 identified that people were traveling in excess of 25 kilometers per hour. Can we get an update once you've gathered all the statistics? And if it is the case, then I would be expecting that we can look at options of how we can calm the speed of the traffic other than just enforcement, because that type of business is, there's more traffic, pedestrians and children and animals during their peak time of their operation than during the winter months. And if we can alleviate and make it more safe, I'd be open and receptive to finding out what the options would be.
Thank you, Madame Perez. Okay, so I'll conclude with what I have to say here. You know, Public Works has done everything they could to alleviate the problem with respect to the speed on Canal Road. I've seen the signs and they're visible. And we've erected a vehicle data in hope of helping, and it does. You know, there comes a time when we've asked our Public Works to do something and they've gone beyond what is deemed necessary. So, and I have to duly agree that with Sean that enforcement is needed. You know, once we give someone tickets and the word gets around, it certainly will make people think before they speed. There's not much more Public Works can do with respect to the speed on Canal Road. They've done what we've asked them to do, and they've done a great job. And then the signs on the river, we finally got someone to install them. I think we should install them. They'll be there for next spring. So it's you know, it's just something that's been there for quite a while. We just might as well decide put the signs up on the river as soon as possible. Now moving the road is something that's been going on for quite some time. I remember when Mark Dark had taken the initiative to get the road moved and had a lot of people involved and everybody was willing to do so. And unfortunately, Mark was the one that was spearheading the project, and we all know what happened to Mark, God rest his soul. The issue is the land was cleared and it was put in place, and all it was needed was to put in the fill and the gravel to create that road. I hope and I wish that that could happen. As Councillor Leo mentioned, their property value would escalate if they had the whole frontage of the river. So we'll leave that subject matter now. If there's any other questions, I'd be really entertained. I thank you, Sean, for that report. But now we will proceed to item 5D, 5B, and that's a report, advanced green light at intersections of Front and Cosson Street. And this was brought up to us by Mayor Joanne Sauvage. But if you wish, Madame Mayoress, I'll have, if you have before you, and I don't know if anyone received this paper here that describes exactly what the intent is here. And Sean will explain to us what exactly is involved here. So Sean, would you take the floor, please?
And thank you, Mr. Chair. So through you. So I think the request was for an advanced green at the onset. So I just want to inform council that there's currently an advanced green programmed in the traffic lights. The advanced green is programmed for the eastbound traffic. And the intention is to you want to give your advanced green to the higher volume of traffic, which our higher volume of traffic turning left from Front Street onto Cosson is generally going towards the hospital or Tim Hortons, A&W, Metro, the complex. So that's why the advanced green is programmed in such a way. Flipping the advanced green to the westbound traffic would, I think, increase your number of collisions. So that takes care of the advanced green. As for a recommendation to reduce the amount of collisions and make the intersection safer, the only way you'll achieve that is through a left turn lane. And unfortunately, a left turn lane requires construction, and with construction comes a cost. Now, I don't have those costs because obviously we'd have to go through the design phase and see what exactly is required. But if it's, I mean, if council's decision is to move forward with a left turn lane, that would be the next step. You know, kind of, if we go with the left turn lane, I would also, if we're gonna, you know, reconstruct the intersection, we also have another issue with the southbound traffic on Cosson. where, at 3:30, if anybody's traveled Courseulles southbound, heading towards the highway at 3:30, there is a lineup all the way back to John Street. And the reason is the intersection isn't wide enough to provide space for right-hand turning vehicles to get by the left-hand turning vehicles. So hence it backs up. So my recommendation would be to move the sidewalk over and create enough room so that you can have at least 2 lanes of traffic, right? Traffic going left or straight, and then the traffic turning right. That could also roll into the sidewalk issue where we wanted to run the sidewalk to John Street, tying it into the loop to up, on Courseulles north to Ethel Street. So that could also be looked at in all that same design. In communication with the MTO, because I wanted to know what next steps were should council decide to go with the left turn lane. The MTO did indicate that they will need a traffic impact study. So we'd have to hire a specialist to do a traffic impact study. And that is it for my report on the advanced green at Courseulles.
Thank you, Sean. Just so that everyone understands the sketch that Sean has sent us, it pretty well explains itself. Does anybody have any questions on the sketch? And I would maybe ask someone to raise or come forward if they have any questions on the sketch. It's very understandable. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll go around and see if there's any comments to be made on the subject matter. So I'll go to Councillor Chris Fisher. Chris, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I would just say I support whatever we do on that intersection. If I'm not mistaken, there's been an accident, yet another accident since the last accident that brought this to council. The one thing, is that intersection so dangerous because there's such a long stretch of highway, no traffic lights, and people are approaching it not expecting the traffic lights? Why? Or is it just about the turn lanes? I don't know, but anything we can do to make that particular spot better, I support.
Thank you, Chris. So we'll now move to Councillor Rolly Ladabi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we do have to address that issue because there is a lot of accidents happening in that corner. So whatever Sean recommends, I'm all in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rolly. Now we go to Councillor Leo Mellet.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I agree with the left turn. And then if we can get the study done by OGRA, maybe have a delegation to Connecting Link, get some funding for that intersection, because a lot of accidents, and we have the police department stats on that intersection, and that would be good for us to ask for a delegation at OGRA or Good Roads, whatever it is. But yeah, I totally agree with the study.
Good point, Councillor Leo. So we'll now move to Councillor Dan Ravita.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to answer Chris's question, it is a turning issue. I pass there every day when I run, and it's just a matter of time that there's going to be not only an accident by vehicles, there's going to be a pedestrian that's going to get killed on that corner. The buses in the morning are lined up right to John. I think you said that, Councillor Yvon. And the thing is that there's a lot of blind spots. So I think if we did widen it like you're saying, and then we had that sidewalk, because I noticed since school has been back, there's a heck of a lot of people walking on that street, going to Tim Hortons and A&W. So I agree. Safety is first. We have to, I would find out how much it's going to cost us. Well, not do an analysis first and then find out how much it's going to cost us, and then make delegation to the province, because as Councillor Leo said, that is a connecting link road, and it's not just our responsibility, it's a responsibility of the province. So thank you. Good work, Sean.
Thank you, Councillor Dan. I will now go to Councillor Denis Senecal. Denis? Denis? There we go.
I'm having a lot of trouble. Yes, I'm having a lot of trouble with the audio here. Is anybody else having trouble or,
We can see you clearly, Denis.
pardon?
Okay,
We see you clearly.
Yeah, but I'm not hearing anybody clearly. Anyways, my comment would be that I think we should proceed cautiously, and I still think we need to know what the costs are before we can even go there. So I'm not ready to go there until I know how much it's going to cost. So if we can get some sort of quote or something to tell us that, okay, we're going into some millions of dollars or whatever it is, but I won't comment until I know what the costs are or approximate costs. So that's where I stand right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. We'll now move to Conseillère Lee Senecal.
okay, I got it this time, and one of the reasons there were a lot of noise is there were four of us with still our mic on. Like right now, Rolly, your mic is on, the town, the mayor, and your mic is on. So that caused the friction that you hear a lot. So my comment is on that is that we need to find a solution because it's a very, very dangerous corner. Have nothing to do with needing one more light. Because I mean, that's the traffic come to town, they slow down way before that. I mean, as far as the sidewalk, there's a lot of traffic. There's school, there's the hospital. So I mean, there's not million, but there's a lot of reason why the traffic is so high. I mean, as far as the sidewalk, I have no issue with the sidewalk, but right now I think the people have plenty of space when they're working towards Tim Horton or the main highway, because the shoulder is so wide between the highway and where the arena, the fence, they have plenty of space to walk. So there's obviously plenty of space to put a sidewalk. And I don't know if it would be plenty of space to put another line. I agree kind of with Sean that would be a solution, but I think we can tap him because again, with the highway and this intersection, but I mean, we've been talking about it. That's another thing that we've been talking about it forever. There's been a lot of accident, and I mentioned that my daughter wrecked my car there at one point of time. Thank God she was okay, but I mean, so yes, I guess we need to have quotation work done, and I think that's what we should direct staff to do, because we cannot make a decision without knowing what the number is, right?
Right. Thank you, Lise, for your comments, and now I'll go to la mairesse Joanne Sauvage.
Well, I concur, je suis d'accord avec tous les commentaires qui ont été identifiés. C'est probablement l'intersection la plus dangereuse qu'on a dans toute la communauté et la municipalité. I'm just, the first step identified by you, Sean, is that we need to get a traffic impact study. Do we have a range of how much that could be cost? What would be the estimated cost? And that wasn't budgeted. So if we all agree that we move forward with a traffic impact study, how quickly can we find out what the cost would be and what the options would be to subsidize this study?
Sean, your mic, please, Sean.
So if it's council's direction, I'll get on that tomorrow, and I'm not, but I can't give you an estimate. I don't know what a traffic impact study for that location would cost, but the MTO do have like qualified contractors to do it. So I do have a list of contractors that I can easily send an email, explain the situation. I have the sketch to show them on what we're, council is after. And I'm sure they can give us a budgetary cost that I can bring back to council soon enough.
Okay, that would be my recommendation, Mr. Chair. And in the interim, once we gather all our facts and we know what the cost would be and what our strategic plan would be to be able to help cover this cost, because great design, but definitely it's going to be a costly design. So since the issue was brought to council, there's been 2 additional accidents here. You do accident at Senil. Is there anything we can do short term with the actual lights. And when I mean lights, I mean, no one gets to turn on a red light, even if they're turning right. You go to the city of Sudbury, they have signs, no right turn on red light. They stop the traffic. They slow down the traffic. You just don't follow. Can we do that with every corner as a short-term solution? And what would be the cost to be able to do that? Is it doable to start off with?
Sean?
It's potentially doable, Madam Mayor, but I think the issue here is left-hand turns. The right-hand turns are not the issue. It's the left-hand turns where, you know, the left-hand turning vehicle has to cross over 2 lanes of oncoming traffic. And when there's 2 vehicles attempting to turn left through the intersection, there's the car in the curb lane going straight through is the car that's T-boning the left-hand turning vehicle. That seems to be the 90% of the accidents that happen at the intersection. So it's a left-hand turning issue is what and the only way you can't address it with traffic. You know, people have mentioned, well, why not 2 left turn green arrows? But what happens then is if you have a car going straight through the intersection, then the car turning left is stuck behind it and you're still in the same predicament. As soon as that left turn goes red, then you're backing up all the traffic, right?
Okay.
So I communicated with John Murray from Ferrovial Services, who is he's the traffic light specialist for Ferrovial, who takes care of our traffic signals. And he is of the same opinion. The only way to address it, you can't address it with lighting. It's got to be done with proper lane.
Okay.
I was absolutely hoping that we could do this, you know, at a cheaper cost, right?
And what about the option of having a decreased speed limit coming to the intersection? Because if you're going left-hand turn from front to Costol, the speed limit in that area is 50 kilometers an hour. So why is that speed limit not being decreased to at least look at calming the speed of the motorist on the stretch? Could that be an option that can be explored? I'm not looking for a decision tonight, but I'm just looking at short term until we can fix the issue on the long-term basis.
I can definitely reach out to the MTO, and because we have to be mindful that half the intersection is MTO jurisdiction and half is connecting link, right? So the east side is MTO, and so I like to, you know,
Okay.
I should confirm with the MTO.
Okay, so my recommendation would be, Mr. Chair, that we find out that you poll each member to find out if we give direction to Sean to come back to us for our traffic impact study cost and to look at the issue about the speed limit.
Thank you, Madam Ines. So in essence, I do agree with everything that was said. What Sean has put on print here is exactly what we discussed, him and I, we kept Jay informed, and I think if we can rectify this problem, it'll certainly help alleviate the accidents we've been having. It's one of our most dangerous intersection there is in the community. As you know, if you go through North Bay, it's basically the same way or method that we would have as North Bay has, and there's very little accidents there. So let's correct the problem, and I will ask council at this time if they would support a traffic impact study to be done as soon as possible. So I'll go Chris.
Yes, I support that.
Okay, Rolly,
Yes, I support that.
Leo,
Yes,
Dan,
Thumbs up.
and Denis.
Yes, I support that.
Okay, so there's no use going around anymore because we are a majority. So let's get a traffic impact study done on this, Sean. So we'll give you the green light on that. And thank you for that explanation you'd given us. Is there anything else you want to add? Chad, you're laughing.
I'm just laughing because I'm also interested in finding out how much it's gonna cost for the study and how we're gonna subsidize the cost.
Well, I mean,
Approved
yeah,
budget.
the mayor's asking for a cost, but
Like, I support the study, but I was just thinking that it would come back and say, okay, if you want the study done, this is how much, and this is, what's gonna be, you know, depending on the cost, we're gonna have staff that's gonna tell us exactly for a non-budgeted line expenditure, how we can spend that amount of money when it wasn't budgeted.
okay, Sean, did you understand what Madam Mayor is? Okay, so let's get a roundabout idea as to what it could cost so that we can proceed with it and report back to Mr. Barbu, and he can then inform us as what we're looking at. Okay? So we'll go to item the D5C, which is an update on the Werner sidewalk. And Sean, I'll leave that up to you again, if you have something to give us.
Okay, so the Werner sidewalk along with the Nipissing Street sidewalk under our 2020 capital plan. The tenders were opened last Friday. We do have a letter of recommendation from EXP. I'm not sure, maybe Jay can help me out with this one. I'm not sure if we're going to award and have a resolution to move forward. Jay?
I really don't know. It would be up to council, Sean, but you can explain what the delays are with the Werner sidewalk and so on.
Sure.
Provide them with a recommendation, then we'll go from there.
Okay, sure.
Thanks.
So, so the Principal East sidewalk, we're still waiting for an environmental compliance approval. And those are approvals from the MOECC that we require when we're doing storm sewer construction. So technically the Principal East is not ready to move forward until we have the, and I mean, we could receive the approval potentially tomorrow, or it could potentially be in a month. And if it's in a month, then we're beyond the construction year. So I would strongly recommend postponing the project till spring of 2021, because you don't want to be pouring concrete when it in sub-zero temperatures. But the Nipissing Street sidewalk is ready to award and does not require an ECA because there is no storm work done. So,
Sean, can I ask you, you said you opened the tender. Can you explain what the tender was?
I believe so, Jay.
It's in the addendum.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so it's on the addendum. Okay, we'll speak of it later. Okay. Thanks, Sean. Is there anything else you want to add?
That would be it in a nutshell.
Well, if it's on the agenda, we can speak of it.
Well,
Okay? And
I have a question.
okay, so is there anything else you want to add, Sean, with respect to the sidewalk? No? Okay, so we know that we have to wait for that report, and until we receive that, there's nothing can be done.
That's right. The approval
The approval.
for the Principal East section for the, yeah, the Nipissing section is, or. Yeah,
Because
it's
of the
ready.
drainage situation. All right. Okay, so we not speak of this yet. Do you wish to speak on the addendum which we have this night with the estimated cost that we received, Sean? And it was added on to the meeting this evening. And if anybody who has it before you, you see that Ed Seguin and Sons, 437,000, Belange Limited, 448,000, and the LaBelle Brothers are in at 317,000 and some 630. Sean, what does this amount mean with respect to the budget that we put in place for the sidewalk?
So Lisa can probably speak to budget, but I know that we are over budget. We had budgeted, don't quote me, but I think it was 225,000 and so we're a little bit over budget.
Okay, yeah, that's a little bit, is quite a bit.
Yep.
Elisa, you want to elaborate on that? Elisa?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, a little bit is a lot of it. So it is over budget for the two sidewalks together. And so that's why Sean said, you know, I don't know if we're going to award tonight or what we're doing or things like that. So I was discussing with Sean and Jake sort of late today, a little bit yesterday, as we looked at where their capital projections looked like for the rest of the year and projects that are on the go. So I think when we're looking at what we're going to do with the two sidewalks, council can take a look at whether they want to go ahead with both sidewalks this year. If we are going to do that, I'd like to, there is some amounts of work that probably is not going to happen, like the railway crossings, because the OVR has not shown any interest in coming to the table on those railway crossings. So we could shuffle some of our capital projects around in order to financially fit both sidewalks in. Otherwise, you know, then the choice becomes, do we want to do just one of those sidewalks this year? And, you know, based on what Sean had said, because we've got Nipissing's ready to go and can go now in Principal, we don't know when we'll get that approvals, what council wants to do with that. If council wants to just say, okay, you know what, given that we are the middle of September right now, we don't have approvals, how much of a construction season do we have left? Are we going to award Nipissing and not award Principal tonight? And just do the one sidewalk this year.
Okay. Elisa, I think that will be a council's decision. And I thank you for that report. I agree that, you know, we know that there is a problem with the environmental compliance approval for the sidewalk in Vernon. Whenever that's going to come in, we're not sure. But I guess it's only fair that we go around and ask as to whether or not we proceed in going with the Nipissing Street sidewalk. And then, and hopefully this year with other capital projects not being done, we can easily shuffle the money to complete the sidewalk in Vernon if we get that environmental compliance approval before the cold year, part of the year becomes a factor. If not, then it'll have to be hopefully done early next year. So now I'm going to go around and ask the members of council their opinion and their thoughts as whether or not we should do Nipissing, award Nipissing, and hold off on the Vernon sidewalk until we get that environmental compliance approval. So I'll go to Councillor Chris Fisher.
Yes, what you just said, and if we have to shuffle, if the approval comes in for Vernon, then we do both, provided we can shuffle the money. Basically, what you just said, Councillor Dehane, is good by me.
Thank you. Councillor Rowley?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I do agree. If we are over budget, then we could do the Nipissing and maybe push back the Vernon sidewalk to next year. So it'll be less of a strain on our taxpayers. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll go to Councillor Leo Malette.
Yes, I agree with what was said. Let's do Nipissing Street and then hold off on Vernon until we get the MOE approval. And then if Alyssa can shuffle some money within Sean's budget to do Vernon this year, fine. If not, well, we can do it next year. I'm in agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Then we'll go to Councillor Dan Ravita.
I agree with everything that's been said. And the only thing is to refresh my memory and to actually tell the public what we're talking about in Nipissing. What is Nipissing again?
Sean, you want to?
So the Nipissing section, Councilor Ravita, is from Salter all the way to almost Aubry, and in a sense, just replacing the existing sidewalk.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. We'll go now to Councillor Denis Senecal.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with you. We just do Nipissing and then whatever, wait for Werner, whatever happens. We'll deal with Werner when it happens, I guess. So yes, proceed with Nipissing for now.
Thank you, sir. Conseiller Denis Senecal. Please.
She can hear you.
Yeah.
She's on mute.
Okay, go ahead, Lise.
So am I okay now?
Yep.
Okay, geez, you're making me nervous. I agree definitely with obviously the Nipissing sidewalk. It's been again demand that's request has been. I think it's time to be done. There's a section of Nipissing, but now I'm gonna say what Councillor Dan say often. He runs over in different streets, so he knows. I've been walking quite a bit this summer, and I have to say something. I mean, our sidewalk needs a lot of work anywhere that you walk, really. I would agree also that when Werner came, the price for whatever that need to be done, again, there's 1, 2, 3 mic that are open, and there's a lot of noise. So I would agree that when Werner, the sidewalk and Werner, the price came in, that Alicia is pretty good to find money so that we can do both this year. And if not, the first priority for if it's too late, because we don't have the price for the whatever needs to be done, that it goes on priority for as soon as spring start next year. That's the first project.
Thank you, Lise. So we'll now go to Madame Mayoress Joanne.
Okay, thank you. But I do have some financial questions before providing my comments. A, how much did we budget for Werner and how much did we budget for Nipissing? Because if memory serves me right, I remember one of the sidewalks was budgeted for 165,000. So how much did we budget for both sidewalks as far as our capital work projects?
Sean?
225.
No, but I mean, we had a specific budget for the one in Werner.
Yes.
I'm assuming that we had also forecasted how much it would cost to get the sidewalk on Nipissing done.
Yes. 120 for Nipissing and 125 or vice versa. But I don't have it in front of me, sorry.
You're right, Sean.
Pardon?
You're right, Sean.
Oh, okay.
He's saying, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you, Sean.
so can I have the numbers? How much was budgeted for Nipissing?
Alyssa, do you have that?
120 was budgeted for Nipissing and 125 was budgeted for Werner.
Thank you.
Okay, and now with the tender, the contractor, the lowest bidder, how much did they bid for the one on Nipissing and how much did they bid for the one in Werner?
The Nipissing sidewalk it came in at 204. But the actual sidewalk is actually 135,000. So it's all the extras. So we run into driveways, interlock driveways, and
okay,
so all that stuff. And the Werner section, part B, Principal Street East, came in at 113,575.
113,575. Okay. Okay, so I've listened to all the comments. So we have a tender that came in lower than the projected cost for one sidewalk and one that came in nearly double for another sidewalk.
If I can just clarify, this tender includes both sidewalks. We went out as a combination, so we can't. I think we might get into a bit of trouble if we want to kind of separate, because we can't break the contract, right? And do kind of piecework.
Okay, but I'm not looking at separating the contract.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify.
financial aspect of what council had approved per project. Now, I know that the issue with the environmental compliance approval, that's out of our control because we are at the mercy. And is this a ministry or is this an agency?
No, the Ministry of the Environment and Climate Change.
Okay.
Give
And,
environmental compliance approvals.
there not any political pressure that we can put with the ministry saying that, you know what, you're delaying one of our capital projects, and with the reopening of the economy, we're looking at stimulating and creating jobs and helping businesses with the recovery. Jay, is there a possibility to call the ministry? Do we have a
Call the
contact?
ministry for sure, but it's highly doubtful when you get into approvals, especially with COVID. Everybody's had their issues. I haven't had great success with that arm of MOE. But I certainly could, raise the issue again and see what's what. But I believe if we're in the queue, I believe many of the projects in the province are in the queue as well. So it could be a global political issue.
But I mean, when was the last time that we contacted the ministry to get an update on this compliance approval?
Yeah. So I have all that correspondence. EXP has been retained by the municipality to move this project forward and to apply for the approval. And I can assure you they have been since July, consistently communicating. I can request they reach out again.
Okay.
But I can assure you, Madam Mayor, Jerry has been on them. It's just, there's a ton of delays. EXP have other projects that have been going on since May.
Okay.
So yeah, it's I think it's not just West Nipissing, it's kind of across the board due to COVID.
Okay. It's good to know, because I mean, if we have people that we can speak with at the provincial level, like dignitaries, to tell them, you know what, it's quite a disappointment with the ministry, because, with the provincial government, they've put so much emphasis on reopening the economy. Well, that's a political issue, but I do have a recommendation. And the recommendation would be that we earmarked $125,000 for the sidewalk and burner. That amount of money should be put in reserve, dedicated for that project. We have a shortfall for the Nipissing sidewalk by $84,000. So any projects that we cannot, other projects that we cannot complete, like identified, where are we going to capture that $84,000? Well, there's projects that was made reference that we would not be able to complete with the railroad lines and so on. But my recommendation is that the $125,000 that was earmarked for that project be set aside in reserve, dedicated for that project. Because next year we're going to have a lot of priorities as well. We're already talked about, the intersection. We've talked about Promenade du Lac. We're talking about Canal, and there's a risk that that project is going to be put aside. So I would support moving forward, conditional that we earmark 125 in reserve for the burner sidewalk, because it's not anyone's fault that we're having a delay with the Ministry of Environment.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I concur, yes, so we should earmark that money for the burner sidewalk if we cannot do it this year, for next year. And I understand that, does anybody have any questions on earmarking the money for the sidewalk and burner? Is there any?
I think that, yeah, I was just going to make the comment that there's nobody around the table that disagreed with paying for it. So there's a commitment, and we asked staff to look at it and to find the money. Earmarking it's not really important, because the point is we'll find the money.
Madam Mayor?
I think it is important, because it gives the reassurance that next year we don't have to dip another $125,000 from our capital budget, and whatever money that we had earmarked for 2020, for specific projects, for not putting those projects have been approved. We don't have to go back through the approval process next year for the sidewalk and burner.
Mr. Chair?
I'm sorry, Rolly, we'll go to Conseillère Lise Saint-Gad. She had her hand up.
Okay.
I think that we were in agreement and not in agreement, but the fact remained that both Sidewalk and Alicia said that she could find the money, and I have no problem marking it that it's got to be done, because a lot of time, if we come next year and there's got to be a big year, obviously we don't even know the setback of the COVID. So, I mean, it's been delayed so far, so I agree, we Sidewalk and we do the one. What is that noise? There's so many people on that. Why is it when I'm talking that I cannot hear everything? Rolly, your speaker is still on, and that's town hall is still
Listen,
on.
Lise, excuse me. Rolly's speaker is not indicated on his site, so he has it off all the time.
Okay, well, I don't see it because the other one I see the speaker off.
But he's
Okay,
on-
sorry, I apologize for that, but anyways, I do want both sidewalk to be done this year. That's very clear. And it's something right now it's stalling the process. And we don't know exactly how much, how long is it going to take to get the report from the Ministry of Environment, whatever you were talking about. So, and Alicia seemed to be very comfortable finding the money for some of the things that were supposed to be done. So why we cannot spend half an hour disagree on something because we're agreeing on both. So earmark is just to make sure there's no question about Werner sidewalk next year. It will be done. So, and I mean, that should reflect in the minute. So nobody's gonna come in January and say we don't have money for the sidewalk and Werner. It's gonna be there because that's what we've been saying.
All right.
So,
So,
Madam Mayor, just point of order, it's almost 9:30.
Stefan, you find something funny? Like you should share your joke because it's not funny at this end.
What do you-
no, I'm sorry, Lise.
It's just that it's very, no, I'm not gonna say it. Okay,
Thank you, Lise. I'll
It's
move.
almost 9:30, Madam Mayor. We have to,
Yeah, that was.
we need a resolution to continue.
Okay, so let's finish
Can I get a
the,
mover and a seconder to extend the curfew, please?
Dan?
Rolly?
Rolly? Seconder?
Dan?
Oh, sorry, Dan, thank you. It is moved by Councillor Larrabee and seconded by Councillor Avita that the curfew be extended to 10 o'clock.
Madam Mayor? Move the motion?
oh, everyone is in agreement? Any objections? Carried.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, so the point across what's being said is that everybody is assuring everyone that yes, the sidewalk and Werner will be put in place. And can we have the minutes of the meeting reflect that, Madame Melanie, saying that we all agree that the sidewalk and Werner will be completed if it can this year. And then that's what I get from all the councillors before me. And Rolly, Councillor Rolly, do you want to add something to that?
Yes. Actually, I am one that did vote in favor of having the sidewalk in Werner. But to earmark the money when we're dealing with COVID and people are having a hard time, I don't think we should earmark it. We know we're going to be doing it, and we don't know how much it's going to cost next year. Prices usually increase. So if we earmark 125, next year it could be 150. So we're still going to be short probably. So I'm still in favor of having Werner to have it done, but to earmark the money, let's give a break to the taxpayers if possible. And also, Councillor Lees, it's the second time you accused me of having my mic on, and I did not.
We corrected that.
well, excuse me, can I apologize.
No, thank you, Lise. Elisa wants to make a comment, and I think I should.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna take a break, please. Sorry.
Okay,
I need to
Elisa,
take a break.
if you wanted to.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify a little bit on where the funds are coming from. We're already designated, which might make people feel better about the setting the money aside, designating the money, because Principal was already set up under gas tax. So it's not general money that rolls back into the pot or things like that. So it is really easy to put that aside because gas tax is designated. So absolutely, we can kind of just capture that. And it doesn't have an impact on giving back to the taxpayers because it wasn't tax money to start. So it already is kind of captured. So yep, that money would be there. We would hold it over if we don't get it to this year. You know, it's a without penalty to the taxpayer, as Councillor Larrabee was worried about and things like that. It's a different fund for this year.
Thank you very much for clarifying that, Lisa. I agree. And that will, you know, we all know it's not tax money, it's gas tax money. So if you want
Okay.
to elaborate on that?
So I agree if it's, well, you know what, if it is gas tax, I didn't see a problem putting it in reserve as a dedicated reserve for the project, but there doesn't seem to be consensus for it. We've done it for other projects. And then this way, next year, if we're underfunded, well, then it's up to council to find out where they would get the extra funds. But my recommendation was to put it in reserve like we've done it for other projects in the past, but there doesn't seem to be the appetite to do so.
Okay, so this evening, I guess later on in the agenda, we'll be probably looking at a council resolution to award the other project. And we'll look forward into that. I guess, Elisa, would that be the agenda for a motion to award the?
It will be part of the regular meeting, yes.
Yeah, okay, so it's here. Okay, thank you. All right, so this ends my part of the agenda, Madame Mayoress. So I'll give it up to you.
Mr. Chair, there was a capital update.
Pardon me, Leo?
There was a capital update by Sean.
There is. Oh, yes, there is. I'm sorry. Thank you, Leo, for bringing that forward. Excel document. Okay, so we have a capital update, and we've been given a document showing us the capital projects. So is Sean still around? Yes, there he is.
Yeah, yep.
So Sean, do you want to go through give us a general idea as to how the capital projects are going?
Sure. I'm going to attempt to speed things up for you guys. So Mr. Chair, by all means, stop me if there's any questions or council has any questions. So starting with asphalt sheeting, we have Orel and Dubois Street. They're both ready to go and have a tentative schedule of late September for resurfacing. King and Railway, that was in conjunction with our whole ditch to King, Force Main, and Water Main projects. So we have to wait until the first phase of that project is complete, and that's scheduled to happen next week. So that will be subsequently scheduled, probably first week of October. Pembroke is complete. Promenade du Lac is also prepped and ready to go. So again, likely last week of September, first week of October. But again, we're dependent on the contractor, and I know that everything has been delayed because of the weather.
Jay wants to.
Just hate to interrupt, Sean, but it's past 9:30. I think you need a resolution to continue. The other thing we just need to point out on the agenda is absolutely before you finish tonight, we need to do the financial plan for water and sewer, just because there's a legislated deadline of the end of the month. So I'm just letting you know that. Thank you.
Okay,
we did adopt the resolution to extend our curfew, so we're good till 10:30. That's been done.
Oh, sorry,
Maybe-
I missed that. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Sorry, Jay, maybe or through you, Mr. Chair, maybe to expedite the process, maybe I don't have to rhyme them all off. If councillors have specific questions to certain line items, then I'm happy to answer.
Sure, I
It
think
would speed up the process.
I agree, Sean. So I see Dan, Councillor Dan Rivera has his hand up. Dan?
The Nipissing Front Street, north and south aprons, you got it complete. It's not complete.
You are absolutely correct. That was just a test for you, Councillor Dan, and you
Okay.
passed the test.
No, I won the
That was a
prize.
mistake. That was a mistake on my part. We have done a lot of work, but because of the critical intersection, that will be prepped and paved like within 2 or 3 days. And I don't want to remove the asphalt. And so I'm waiting that we have a firm schedule from the contractor, and then we'll get that done.
Oh, thank you.
You are correct. It has not
Thank
been
you very much.
completed.
Thank you, Councillor Dan and John. Leo, did you have a question? You had your hand up, Councillor Leo?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I was talking to Sean there a while back, and I know I got complaints on Majo. And we've done quite a bit of work on Majo, but it'll be a delay till next year for the asphalt, if I'm correct. And unless we get some money this year through COVID, I'm not sure. But can you respond to that, Sean, please?
Yes, you are correct, Councillor Millet. You know, in hindsight, I would have liked to resurface it this year. But as per our other projects, we typically do the drainage enhancement. You know, we changed all the cross culverts. There was a lot of piping completed, and we usually let things settle before repaving. You don't want people's driveways heaving and you know, under fresh. So the idea is to kind of let things settle and you repave the following year. It is still, you know, we didn't remove the asphalt. The guys are out there patching. But it was scheduled. If you look at your capital plan, it was scheduled to be resurfaced only next year.
Okay, thank you so much, Sean.
Thank you, Councillor Leo. Does anybody else have a question or a comment?
Why don't you do a round table?
Councillor Chris Fisher?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Rowley?
All
Councillor-
good.
Thank you. Councillor Leo? Any
I
questions?
already did, thank you.
Thank you, Leo. Councillor Dan Rivera?
Thank you.
Denis, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I'm good.
Thank you. Monseigneur Lise, question? Commentaire?
I'm good.
Thank you. Et Madame Herdez?
Quick questions. The ones that don't have anything stated beside, what does it mean? Some are blank when you're looking at brushing and ditching as an example.
Okay. Majo is complete. Norland is complete. North-South is complete. Rainville is ongoing. Tomico is complete. Vachon is complete.
Okay.
Thank you, Sean.
And the ones that identified to be no schedule received with OVR rail crossing, Cosol and the Car Road, how much did we budget for those two projects? Sorry. I'm just curious because in light of discussing the sidewalk and we can grab money there to subsidize the difference.
So my document shows 20,000 each crossing.
You got the money right there.
The money was to repave those. The crossings are getting at their end of life, and we need to repave the crossings. But I've been in touch with OVR, and they haven't been responding. So and we're getting at at the end of the construction season here. So I don't see it happening. But they could call tomorrow and say let's do it. But I don't have my hopes up.
Okay. No, that's probably the only questions that I had. I do know that we had not budgeted in 2020 the crossing where council had discussed two different issues, I believe, the school crossing at Northern Whitewood and the other vicinity at Nipissing and 3rd. I thought maybe, I'm not too sure if it fell under safety, a different committee under Chris, or if it was assigned to you, Public Works, for us to get an estimate regarding what was the options for those two issues.
Sean, do you remember? Never, Northern Secondary School, we were thinking about putting a sidewalk.
Yep.
On the north side of the,
Yeah, I thought I had provided budgetary costing.
Okay.
And if I recall, it was added under the 2021 budget deliberation,
Okay,
under our
okay,
2021 capital. So you'll
Yes,
see it when we deliberate capital for 2021.
You're
Okay.
definitely right, Sean, because I remember you showing it to me because of the concern that that parent had.
Okay.
You're right.
and
I was gonna say thank you, so I guess I'll ask for an update pertaining to a costing for school guards, because we were going to be provided, you know, what would be the potential costing to hire someone at those two intersections. Okay, thank you.
so, okay, this time this does complete my section of the agenda. So we'll now move to Madam Mayoress to continue the meeting.
Okay, so we're gonna proceed now to community services, and I'll pass it on. Well, you know what, is Stefan on the call? Yes, he is. Stefan, do you want to walk us through the Cache Bay Trailer Park issue?
Sure, through you, Madam Mayor. As you could see from the memo provided, our current operator at the Cache Bay Park has provided notice that his 5 years contract is up and he doesn't wish to renew his agreement with the municipality. He has done great work with the park over the last 5 years. So now it's looking for council's direction as far as how we move forward with this park. I've provided you with an overview of the revenue derived from the park based on the successful proposal submitted by the operator. So essentially you have it broken down as far as what we get from the operator as annual revenue, which is 10% of his gross revenue from seasonal rentals. We also get from the operation costs pertaining to water and sewer, because that site is connected to our municipal services. We get municipal taxes, and the operator also pays for his own garbage bin rental. He or she is responsible for all advertising, hydro costs, and minor repairs, and they pay their own liability insurance. The municipality does look after the major repairs and infrastructure upgrades, such as, if there's any issues with water, sanitary, if there's issues with drainage, the road, the culverts, roofs, the buildings, and whatnot. I've provided you with an overview of what our assessment has been for the next 10 years, as far as how much money we think we'll have to put in that facility. And when I say we, as the municipality, because the infrastructure belongs to the municipality. We estimate that there'll be approximately $175 to be invested in that facility over the next 10 years. So on an annual basis moving forward, we should have $17,500 set aside for that facility alone, in order for us to maintain and keep the facility in good condition and safe for patrons to attend. So as I mentioned, I give you a brief overview of how many buildings there are in that facility for those of you who aren't too familiar with the Cache Bay Trailer Park. So I've highlighted what council could look at as far as options. Status quo, we issue a new public RFP and see who's interested in running the facility on a go-forward basis, and seeing what type of agreement we can have as far as revenue sharing. We could look at increasing the revenue from the park to offset the 17.5 estimated cost yearly moving forward. This could be done by us providing a fixed yearly rental cost for the operator to take into account before anyone submits a proposal. Council has the option to also cease operation and shut the park down, or other options as council sees fit. I do want to add a piece of information to council for your consideration. I've been able to confirm with the operator as far as the people that basically stay in the park as seasonal rentals. He did send me the list of people that own trailers and that do stay there for the entire season. And approximately a little over 70% of the people that do reside seasonally in the Cache Bay Trailer Park are not residents of West Nipissing. So I did want to make sure that council had that. I couldn't confirm that information prior to completing the memo on Friday, but I have received a list from the operator, and I can confirm that over 70% of the people there are not, do not have addresses as their fixed address in West Nipissing.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. So what you want us to determine tonight is to proceed in finding someone else to operate, and if we decide, or to seize and look at options if we would seize, right?
Correct. I'm looking for council's direction on
Okay.
how to proceed with the operation of the Cache Bay Trailer Park, knowing that the operator has concluded his contract with us.
Okay, so there's two options on the table. I'm going to do a round table. If you can identify which option you would support, going back for an RFP for an operator or to seize the operation. How many municipalities operate a campground, Stefan, that you're aware of?
Offhand, I'm not aware of how many municipalities operate campgrounds. I know that municipalities do. It's been in the news recently. I think Sudbury, the city of Sudbury operate or own 3 campgrounds, and they're all under review right now. As far as how many across Ontario, I don't have that information.
Okay, perfect. So quick round table, Conseil Yvon, which option would you prefer?
I would agree with status quo and proceed with a new park operator. I think the park is deemed necessary because people, especially with COVID, had no place to go other than to their trailers. And with the closure of Tutorzac, I think it's a well-needed park. So
Okay, thank you.
I think we should keep it.
Okay, Councillor Chris?
So as we did talk about this before, and this park is not making any money. In fact, it's kind of losing a little bit of money. It's a bit of drag on our resources. I don't consider it to be our core business. So I would be, and also $2,200 for municipal taxes seems awful low. I would be in favor of shuttering it, declaring it surplus, and selling it.
Okay, thank you. Conseil Burley? Conseil Burley?
Yes, yeah. I was just plugging the wires in so I could speak. Yes, I'm also in accordance with Councillor Fisher. Let's declare it surplus, have it evaluated, and sell it.
Okay, thank you. Conseil Leo?
Yes, we've, that municipality owned that park for the last 40 years, probably before amalgamation where the Cache Bay owned it. I think for now, we should maybe ask for tender for another 2 to 3 years, study, and if we can surplus in the 2 or 3 years, but have something done. Because I mean, it is a nice park, and then all the facilities with the municipal infrastructure for water and sewers, not many parks have that. And I think we should keep it for now and maybe study. Like Councillor Yvon said, yeah, let's keep it for now and let's study.
You're supporting
Yes.
to go back to an RFP. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for
Conseil Dan?
yeah, my suggestion is maybe for 2 or 3 years at the most, and then give us a chance to study.
For status quo for next year, so status quo, okay.
Okay, Madam Mayor, just a question to Stefan. Is the operator right now, is he willing to take it to continue?
No, that was identified in the memo from Stefan. Okay, Conseil Dan?
I tend to agree with Councillor Fisher, Councillor Larrabee, and I also want to make a point that Leo is making too. It's a good point. We should, if we do go for tender, let's go for a short period. So let's go for a short period and then study it and then see what we can do with it.
Okay, so Conseil Dan, I'm confused. You agree with other comments? Do you want to go status quo or do you want to go declare it surplus?
I think what I'm trying to say to you is that we go status quo, however, with the idea, no, but let me finish, please. Respect, please. Status quo, but it's not a long-term contract, and that we look at unloading it in the future.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to clarify the initial comment. So status quo and the terms and conditions would come back to council for discussion. Perfect. Conseiller Denis?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Well, I think, I don't know, I don't think the West Nipissing should be in the business of a trailer park, but I would support an RFP tender to see what's out there, but I think we should look at it and terminate that park.
So
let's have the RFP for a tender for like a short period and go from there after.
So it's a status quo for now? Okay, I'm not even talking about duration. It's just to give direction to staff.
Yeah.
Conseiller Elise?
Well, I mean, with the lack of trailer park or like, I mean, we have only one lodge, not a lodge, but Glenrock right now, and it's full capacity. I mean, if we close that one, I think it's not right. The people that moved there, some of them came from the Trizac when it closed down. I would definitely not agree to put that to surplus right now. I don't mind. I think we should go for RFP right now. And after that, we'll see what's going to happen and play it by ear instead of making decisions that, because I mean, those people, some people, I know people, they've been there for a long, long time. And then again, so we're not maybe in business to do that, but we're definitely trying to, for economic development right now, that's talking about those things. So, I mean, we cannot shut down one and try to work on something else. And Cash Bay have that part for a long, long time ago. So I'm all for the RFP. That's my point of view right now.
So I think the direction majority has identified to proceed with an RFP and providing us with an update, and then we can discuss the length of the agreement when this comes back to council. Perfect. We move on to the next item, which is community events. We got the memo from our Director of Ed Dev and Community Services. Wishes to have direction pertaining to Kids Safe Halloween, Christmas Parade, the Senior Christmas Dinner. There's issues pertaining to the COVID-19 Assessment Center, and from the memo, it identifies that it's still foreseeable in the future that it's going to remain open for another 4 to 6 months. So that would impede on the Kids Safe Halloween that traditionally has taken place at the Marcel Noel Hall. So the assumption would be that that event would be canceled because the hall is presently occupied. And pertaining to the Christmas Parade of Lights, that's an issue that we need to give direction to staff. And the Senior Christmas Dinner, well, that also pending if the hall is still occupied, we're not going to have a hall. So based on that, Stefan, you're looking direction. Do you need direction this evening for the Christmas Parade of Light and the Senior Christmas Dinner for this evening?
Well, I mean, this evening or not, I think it'd be best to, if council can make that decision sooner than later, other than the hall being occupied for the assessment center. I guess we also have to look at risk management and what that means as far as guidelines and protocols and large crowds, indoor limits that's, you know, we have to adhere to, and everyone's safety for that matter. So if council wishes to delay their decision on these events, you know, that's your prerogative to do so. But I think, you know, with Kids Safe Halloween fast approaching and the other events requiring some planning and at least, you know, from a staff perspective, the sooner we can get direction on this, I think the better it is moving forward.
But your memo identifies that the hall is being occupied probably for the next 4 to 6 months. So it means that the hall is going to be occupied for Halloween. So would it be right to assume that the Kids Safe Halloween, which is customarily taking place at the Marcel Noel Hall, is canceled?
Well, that's a council decision. That's why I was bringing it forward. With the hall not available, if council absolutely wishes to proceed with that type of an event, we could look at our other venues. But that being said, is it,
Okay.
is it the safest way to proceed?
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'll do a quick roundtable to find out about the Kids Safe Halloween, an indoor event. We know it can't take place at Marcel Noel. I don't think there'd be the will of anyone around the table to cancel or to shut down the assessment center for COVID during this crisis, this pandemic. But we do have other facilities, i.e. the Burner Arena, so let's give direction to staff, yea or nay. Conseiller Bon, would you maintain the Kids Safe Halloween indoor?
Definitely not indoors, but if there was other alternatives, I would ask for it. And it's the same for Christmas parade lights. And the senior supper, well, we'll have to cancel it.
Okay, but for the Kids Safe Halloween indoor, no?
No.
Okay.
I think there's too many kids involved.
Okay, that's what we need to know. Conseiller Chris, Kids Safe Halloween indoor?
I'll just be a total Grinch and say cancel Halloween and cancel Christmas. I know I'm gonna get lynched, but that's the way I feel about it all. Thank you.
Okay, Conseiller Burley?
I'd say cancel the Halloween parade of lights and Christmas supper. Cancel them all because it's we're in COVID, so I don't think it would be prudent to have them all.
Conseiller Leo?
Yes, cancel. I mean, it is sad. I mean, for the kids and Christmas and all that, but I mean, I don't think we have a choice. We can't get people sick and, cancel.
Okay, Conseiller Dan?
Agreed.
Okay, Conseiller Denis?
Cancel Kids Safe Halloween, senior dinner cancel, and Christmas parade of lights. I hope we could maybe figure something out. It's outdoors, so I'm not sure if we can do something with that. So anyways, the other two we can cancel, but this one, I don't know.
Conseiller Alice?
Well, I'm on the same page that the Halloween, the senior supper, obviously, it's out of the question for this year. The Christmas parade, I mean, it's outside, so is there any way? Again, it would have to be that people keep their distance. So if it's cold enough, they will put scarf over their mouth, all that. But I mean, it's a touchy one. I don't know, Stefan, if you think that it can be done. Or we can't, because I mean, and you know what, at that point of time, if you wait maybe a couple of weeks, we won't have to make that decision because it's going up. So I think we're going for a second wave. But 1, 2, I agree, Halloween, the Christmas parade, if there's any possible way that it could be done, I would support it.
Okay, so it's clear that all indoor events canceled, Kids Safe Halloween and the senior Christmas supper. Is it possible to bring back the parade at our next community services so we can discuss if there's an opportunity for that?
We could, and we can touch base with the health unit to see what they recommend. But, when you're looking at floats and having people physically distance on floats, when you're having people driving vehicles in the parade, they're all going to have to wear masks. They'll have to be there'll have to be strict guidelines. It certainly will not be a parade that we've been accustomed to. And when you look at the large amount of crowds that gather in our downtown area on King Street, especially, and down Michaud, how are we gonna police that? I don't know. So those are the concerns we have from an operational standpoint. But if council wish that we go back and look at how we could possibly run an outdoor event and police it ourselves, then we can come back in October with hopefully more information on that.
Okay, or I kept notes of who said what, so can I just see a show of hands who wishes to cancel the parade? If majority says cancel the parade, we're gonna avoid staff coming back to us. I know Conseiller Leo had said yes, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there was opportunity to find out if we can keep it or not. So let's bring back the parade. Indoor events canceled. And I just want to echo the message that even though the indoor safe Halloween is canceled, do we have any prescribed legislation as far as municipal officials to say that the holiday of Halloween is canceled for kids. We have no control if people decide to go door to door. That's their own prerogative. Am I right by saying that?
I believe so. The province might have a bit more information between now and October on, provided additional guidelines. I think that's already been recommended that we start preparing the kids as far as the possibility of not being able to trick or treat house to house. But again, it might be a decision that's provided by the province in due course.
Okay, but it has nothing to do with us in prescribing that. Thank you. Okay, keeping the town green and clean was an issue that I had brought that I wanted to discuss because there was supposed to be options that staff was looking into to help the great volunteers that are doing phenomenal work in the community. And there were frustrations and suggestions and encouragement to call the town. I know that we have so many issues on the agenda. Would there be an objection that this would be deferred to our next meeting so we can have the time to speak about it? Any objections? No? Okay, so let's put it on the agenda for our next meeting. Public beaches bylaw to minimize disturbances. Conseiller Dan, you had put that. Can we bring it to the next meeting as well? I see yes. Okay, so we'll defer that to our next meeting. Now, I'll pass it to Councillor Dan for sewer and water because I've heard that the water financial plan needs to be approved this evening, and I see that Peter Main is joining us as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair. I guess what I'll be doing is just handing it off to Peter and Alyssa to basically go over it because we have to make a decision tonight. Thank you. So Alyssa or Peter?
I'll start with just the preamble. And Peter can kind of fill in the details on the preamble. So our water license is renewed on a regular basis. As a part of this renewal on the water license, we must submit an updated 6-year financial plan. This is just the water system. So we budget with water and sewer together. This is just the water. That's all the province requires is just the water, which is why it might look odd, a little bit odd compared to what you're accustomed to looking at. We do the 6-year plan to take a look at what our capital needs might be and to sort of give some guidance on where we're going on funding those capital needs over the term of our license. All of this is kind of a result of the issues that happened in Walkerton and the province, just sort of tightening up things. This doesn't stop us or stop council from each year setting the rates, setting the budget, reviewing the capital. This is just sort of a tool we submit to the province and a tool that gives us guidance on where we're going over the next little bit. So again, it's just the water system, not the water sewer. In the background, I run them together to see what the water sewer situation looks like. I do have to tell you, I went out to Peter, Sean, and Al Corral and said, tell me what you think you're going to do in capital in the next 5 and 10 years, and I'll see how it looks in the plan then. And they came back to me with about $44 million worth of work over the next, I think, 7 years. And at which point I kind of fell off my chair. So when we look at the statement of operations, you're going to see always looks like there's a surplus at the bottom, and that's because the statement of operations does not include our capital work. It does not include the principal payment of our loans, those things that we roll together. And like I said, we blend our water and sewer together in our budgeting, and this is just water. But if you take a look at the Schedule 3, the statement of cash flow, then you're going to start to see some of that capital work that is sort of scheduled out through the next few years. Now, on the first couple of years, you don't see a lot of water infrastructure work, and that's because there's an emphasis going on the sewer side. So there's actually some substantial sewer work that has to happen over the next couple of years, down sort of through the downtown core, down Nipissing Street and things like that. So on the first couple of years, you see kind of this amount building in water side, partially because we're doing a lot of work on sewer side, and partially because we've got these big projects that are coming along later on in this term. So as you see, as we kind of get out to those last couple of years, suddenly we've got big infrastructure happening in the water side of things again. And so you'll see that cash equivalents at the end of the year dropping back down. And that kind of represents reserves carrying forward. And so that's kind of the in a nutshell with the financial plan. Like I said, this is just water. It is just sort of our guidelines. When we look at what I'm going to flip you back to the Schedule 1, when it looks at statement of operations, when we look sort of going forward through the years, we put sort of an assumption on what the collective agreement increases might be. We use some assumptions on, increases on utilities and materials and supplies and those kinds of things. And I usually use CPI and a little bit of history. Utilities usually go higher, insurance goes a little higher. This year, because the whole world blew up, what CPI and what inflation might look like over the next couple of years are really challenging, which is why each year we come back and actually set a full budget with council each year. So it is just assumptions and projections through the bottom of expenses with the corresponding assumption of, a rate increase that will have to come along in order to fund this capital work that's going to happen. That's it in a nutshell.
Sorry. I guess what we have to do is if there's any questions, burning questions, we can go around the table. Yvonne, did you have any questions? Yvonne? Councillor Yvonne, do you have any questions?
Muted. I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry, thank you, Dan. No, yeah, I'm just concerned about the increases that we're talking about. Hearing every day that people are concerned about the cost of water and sewer and the add-on of taxes. That's all I want to mention. I think it's important that people, our councils, are aware of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Chris?
So I just want to verify that, so what I'm hearing basically from Elisa is we are not bound to this. This is more of a planning tool that we just have to sort of agree to so we can move forward. That's what I heard.
Yes, you're absolutely not bound to it. We're not setting a long-term budget the way you might with the council. This is the financial plan. That said, if you tossed it all out at budget time next year, what you have to understand is all this capital work might not happen. And then we go back and reevaluate what capital work's going to go on. But you're absolutely not bound by it. It is just sort of a plan with some guiding principles to it. Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Councillor Rowley?
Thank you. No comment. Everything's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Leo?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Dan. Yeah, one question to Alyssa. When are we going to get the report for the water and sewers who are going to Verner, the issue going from Cache Bay or whatever? When are we supposed to get that report?
That would actually be a Peter question.
Okay.
Peter?
The consultants are still working on that, so it's projected to come out in a couple of months. That's the
a couple of months.
That's the timeline that we had given them.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks, Alyssa, Peter.
Yep.
Joanne, Mayor Joanne?
My questions were answered, but just a point of clarification, I think every time I ask the question for update for the engineering, the environmental assessment for the water services for Burner, I was under the impression it would be in the fall, September or October. So now we're saying it's still going to be in a couple of months?
Peter?
End of October.
End of October? Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Councillor Lees?
Please, we can't hear you.
Yes, I know. I'm tired. Excuse me. I am tired, so I'm trying, and so please bear with me. I am, and right now I don't have any comment because we don't have $40 million. So hopefully we're gonna find the money somewhere at some point of time. I don't quite agree that we don't have to do nothing, because if we don't do nothing, meaning at some point of time, not maybe in my life, but we will have to do something. So it's not completely nothing we have to do. So, but at this point of time, I'm not too concerned, because Alicia said, no, at this point of time, we don't have to move, but it doesn't mean that we won't have to move eventually, right, Alicia? Or am I wrong? Or you did all that work for nothing?
No, so the you know, the $44 million worth of work that you know, Peter, Sean, and Al looking at, yeah, I mean, it's work that's just going to fall further behind as we don't get there. Some of it we will, you know, might consider financing. Some of it we are certainly going to hope to get funding for and things like that. It's, yeah, that work doesn't go away. You know, yeah, we just keep looking for funding opportunities and keep moving it along.
And that's what I'm saying, like, it's okay to say it's not there, but it will be there.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Denny?
Yes, I agree to move forward with the financial statement.
Okay, thank you. So just to summarize, we're not bound by this. It's a compliance thing, so we have to submit it. That it's a long-term plan. I guess it's a wish list for $44 million of work. However, some of it we can find monies in other areas, so we'll do that. It's something that is a progression that we can reevaluate as we go, and that for the people of Verner, the consultant report will be done by the end of October, and Peter will be very happy to present it to us. So thank you very much for your input. I'll leave it back to you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Conseiller Dan. We do have a resolution that we need to adopt this evening regarding the plan that's being presented. That would be item I1, if I'm correct, Melanie?
That is correct.
Okay, can we get a mover and a seconder, because this is time sensitive and the fact that it needs to be approved?
Leo?
Just want to pull the plan, resolution.
I just want to make sure that we're dealing with the sensitive issues pertaining to our curfew, because here again, we're in a position where we have to deal and moving stuff to the next meeting because we don't have enough time to deal with it.
So a mover and a seconder?
Yvonne?
Leo?
It is moved by Councillor Duham and seconded by Councillor Mallette. Whereas at a committee of the whole meeting held on September the 15th, 2020, the Sewer and Water Committee recommended that the water financial plan be approved as presented. Be it therefore resolved that the municipality of West Nipissing Financial Water Plan 202301A confirms the financial viability of the water supply. Be it further resolved that council approves the water financial plan 202301A, and be it finally resolved that staff be authorized to table the water financial plan in accordance with Ontario Regulation 45307 with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing.
Any objections? Aucune objection? Carried. Adopted. Okay, so this is what I'm going to propose for the remaining of the time that we have. We don't have much. The minutes of last week, last meeting, la proclamation, and then we need to go into closed session. Every other items will be deferred to the next meeting, because otherwise there are issues here that are time sensitive that need to be dealt with this evening, and we need to go in closed session. And we've got.
Madam Mayor, do you not want to do I4, the proclamation to declare September 25th?
I did. So the three items. So if there's no objection with the three items, is the minutes of September 1st, I4, and then proceed in closed session. All other items are being deferred to the next meeting.
And the award of that contract?
Oh, okay. So the award of the contract. So we have 4 items to be able to deal with. Okay. Let's proceed under correspondence and accounts. I'd like to be able to proceed with the resolution for the minutes of September 1st.
Mover and a seconder, please. Please.
Leo?
And it is moved by Councillor Lee Senecal and seconded by Councillor Ravita. Be it resolved that the minutes of the meeting of council held on September the 1st, 2020 be adopted as presented.
Are there any questions or comments? I do have a comment, and my comment is pertaining to section I-8, which is the resolution to determine the process for the vacancy. The resolution is not on the agenda. I don't need the explanation. I received the explanation in writing, but I did not see a response from all the members of council to see whether or not if they had changed their position or changed their mind. So the only thing I want to do is do a quick roundtable in the event, because this was a time-sensitive issue. We had been identified that it needed to be finalized by September 18. We don't have another meeting for September 18. Conseiller Yvon.
I stand by for what I've said, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Conseiller Chris.
No, I haven't changed my position.
Okay, and Conseiller Rowley.
Like I stated in the memo, I have not changed my position.
Okay, you had returned an email and identified that you were sticking with the same decision.
That is correct.
Thanks. Conseiller Leo.
Same thing. I'm staying.
Same?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Conseiller Dan.
As I stated in my email, my position is the same.
Okay, and Conseiller Denis.
My position is the same.
Conseiller Alice.
I believe in the democracy, so guess what my position is, so.
Okay, and I remain the same by election. There's been a lot of echoes, and I just felt it was fair for the constituents of Ward 7 to know what was the outcome for this evening, even though we didn't have a formal resolution. Are there any other?
I do. Can you hear me now?
Oui, on peut t'entendre, t'es en train de chanter.
No, you're shutting off,
le
please.
temps.
Just on me.
Okay, so I do have a question, and I guess it's to Jay, because now they will have to have a resolution passed to make it formal, because as you stated so clearly in your memo and committee, we just go around, we ask questions, we don't vote. So, but that resolution will have to come back. No. So tell me why.
Because there is a resolution is when you're resolved to do something. Okay, this council is not resolved one way or the other. And so there's no resolution on the table for or against, because it would be, and so basically municipal affairs is aware, and they're going to be informed that council couldn't make this decision. So the information is the same. Is if anybody has a change of heart, or are there any circumstances that would materially change where the vote would go one way or the other, then it certainly would be brought back. But there's no need for a resolution, because either a resolution would be defeated. So there's no issue. So I'm going to communicate with municipal affairs. I've been speaking with the manager in Sudbury, Kathy Horgan, and I'll let her know what the case is, but I'm sure they're already aware.
Okay, well, at least people know tonight that there's no change and it's standby, so they don't have to phone us and note that tomorrow it's not happening so far, and the 18th is coming, and it will be up to the ministry to decide, which I don't think they will also get them involved, because we do have a quorum. So thank you.
Okay, and final question to Jay. Due to COVID, if there is someone that do change their mind, it can be brought back, right?
Absolutely.
OK, thank you. Là, on procède avec la proclamation de la journée franco-ontarienne, le 25 de septembre. Mel, did you want to read the English version, and I'll proceed with the French? Or
Put mic on, Mel. Mel, Mike?
Sorry. Whereas Franco-Ontarian Day is an annual province-wide celebration, and whereas our province officially proclaimed Franco-Ontarian Day in 2010, and whereas more than 600,000 Francophones reside in Ontario, representing the most important French language community in Canada outside of Quebec, and whereas Francophones are present all across the province from the north and from south and east to west, and whereas it was on this day in 1975 that the Franco-Ontarian flag was raised for the first time, uniting Franco-Ontarians and providing them with a symbol, And whereas this day promotes the recognition of the Francophone community's contribution to the development of Ontario's culture, history, society, economy, and political structure. And whereas September 25th represents the diversity of Ontario's Francophone community. Go ahead.
Attendu que le jour des Franco-Ontariens et des Franco-Ontariennes est célébré annuellement à l'échelle de la province, attendu que le jour des Franco-Ontariens et des Franco-Ontariennes a officiellement été reconnu par notre province en 2010, attendu que l'Ontario regroupe au-delà de 600 000 francophones, soit la plus importante communauté francophone au Canada hors Québec. Attendu, la date, 25 septembre, a été choisie en référence à la première levée du drapeau franco-ontarien, symbole d'identification, de ralliement et d'appartenance en 1975, attendu que les francophones de l'Ontario sont répartis aux 4 coins de la province, attendu que cette journée entend faire la promotion et la reconnaissance des contributions de la communauté francophone quant au développement de la culture ontarienne, à son histoire, à la société, à l'économie et la structure politique de l'Ontario. Attendu que le 25 septembre représente l'Ontario français dans toute sa diversité, je, Joanne Savage, maire, proclame par la présente le vendredi 25 septembre 2020 comme étant la journée des Franco-Ontariens et des Franco-Ontariennes dans la municipalité de Nipissing-West. All in favor? Adopté, carried.
And lastly, a mover and a seconder for the item on the addendum. I think that was where we were going next.
That's right. That has to do with the award of the sidewalk.
That's correct.
A mover and a seconder. Do you want
Leo?
So Conseiller Yvon, Conseiller Broley.
It is moved by Councillor Duhaime and seconded by Councillor Larrabee. Whereas quotations were requested for the sidewalk upgrades on Nipissing Street and Principal Street East in the municipality of West Nipissing, and whereas 3 quotations were received on September the 11th, 2020, and whereas the quotations have been reviewed by EXP and the award being recommended herein consists of the best prices meeting all specifications, and whereas Council concurs with the recommendation received, be it therefore resolved that the quotation for sidewalk upgrades on Nipissing Street and Principal East be awarded to LaBelle Brothers Construction, having submitted the lowest quotation of $317,630.50 plus HST, meeting all specifications.
Are there any objections? Carried, adopté. Donc, ceci va conclure la partie régulière de notre réunion conseil. On doit procéder à huis clos pour discuter d'un item. Et l'item est en conjonction de la propriété Villeneuve Court. So we have one item to discuss in closed session to
I
deal.
need a mover and a seconder to go into close.
Madam Mayor, just a short comment. Would like to just thank Jay. I guess Jay has been with us for 20 years. And thank you so much, Jay, for your contribution to the municipality with your expertise and your guidance. Thank you so much, Jay, for 20 years.
Merci pour l'avoir soulevé, conseiller Léo.
I need a mover and a seconder to go into close, please and thanks.
Leo?
And Councillor Chris.
Chris. It is moved by Councillor Mallette and seconded by Councillor Fisher. Be it resolved that we proceed into closed meeting as authorized in section 239(2) of the Municipal Act to discuss the following: a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board regarding Villeneuve Court. I need to turn off the live stream and stop.
Okay.